Right now, Christians, conservatives, and freedom-loving Americans are being censored and abused by our cultural gatekeepers. Why? Because we don't fight back. Not anymore. Freedom of Creativity is a directory of creatives and businesses who value the American principle of freedom. If you've got talent, join Freedom of Creativity to connect with other like-minded creatives. You'll find creative projects to collab on, and you can post your own dream project and recruit a team to make it happen. And if you're a business owner, list your company on Freedom of Creativity so we can build a directory of businesses that share our values. It is vital to speak with our wallets and sow into businesses that support freedom over censorship and cancel culture. Listeners, guys, you must take action to preserve the country you love. Founder Tim Columba needs your help. Freedom of Creativity won't work unless people sign up and participate. Get listed and start rebuilding our culture today for free at freedomofcreativity.com. It's free to join and free to use, but if you upgrade and support Tim's fight for our culture as a fan of my show, the Rookie American Podcast, Tim is giving listeners 50% off for life when you use the promo code LISSETTE. Join today at freedomofcreativity.com, spread the word, and reach out to Tim Columba on social media at Freedom of Creativity US, where you can also watch his amazing videos. If you don't start influencing our culture, who will? The culture is in your hands. Welcome to the Rookie American Podcast. I'm your girl, Lisette Carter. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you guys for always listening in and for your support. On today's episode, we're going to be covering how important it is to vote in your local town elections and also to participate in those meetings. A lot of people do not know that the government kind of works in like three parts. And I don't mean like judicial, executive, legislative. I mean, you have all those three things, but they operate on three different levels. You have your federal level, which is like you're voting for your president, your vice president, U.S. representatives, your senators. And then you also have your state officials that you're voting for, your governors, legislators, and your judges, depending on, some judges are appointed, some judges you vote for, depending on the state. Then you also have your local level officials, which are your mayor, city council members, county commissioners, board of selectmen. So there are different things that you can vote for on different levels. Now, everybody's very familiar with the national level. Not a lot of people are familiar with the state level, and even fewer people are familiar with the town level. And I know this because as I started to participate in my local town, which is in Oxford, Massachusetts, it's literally a tiny town south of Worcester, which I didn't even know of before. I come from the Boston area, super small town, but you still can participate even on that level. You still can vote for different things. And a lot of people don't understand or simply aren't aware of the impact that you can have on a local level. So I do have a gentleman here. If you're on my YouTube right now, you can see him on the split screen. It's Tim Moriarty. He's here. I'm going to be interviewing him for a local position that he is going to be up for in May as a write-in. And I want to discuss with him the importance of going out there and understanding how your local town government works, because you might not understand this, but your taxes, if they're increasing on a local level, you've got to know where they're going, if they're going anywhere, and if anything is actually being done in the community. You have the opportunity to vote on those things live, especially. And one of the things that I had met Tim actually at one of the town meetings in Oxford, where you can participate by going to a town meeting. At my first town meeting, there was probably not a lot of people there, to be honest. And I was the youngest one there. And a lot of those guys look like they needed oxygen tanks. They've been around, they've been around for quite some time. So that's how you know that a lot of people do not participate. I mean, they have no problem running their mouth and participating on social media on political events or current events that really they don't know much about. They just kind of go with the flow. But when it comes to participating in your local community, and I don't mean by being activists, I mean by actually voting for things that are being brought up in the town, there's not a lot of people that do that. And so I want to educate you guys. I want to help you understand how important that is to do it on a community level, not just on a federal level. And I'm happy to have Tim here to discuss that with you.
Thanks for having me on.
So Tim, tell us about you. Who are you? What do you do? And what are you running for?
So I grew up in Northborough, and then after high school, I joined the military and kind of bounced around a little bit after the military from town to town and found home in Oxford about almost 4 years ago now.
Mm-hmm. Now you have a small business, yeah?
I do, yeah. I do lawn sprinkler systems and landscape lighting. I've been doing that for about 11 years now.
Okay. And so I've seen you on some forums, and I know who you are through my husband, David, who's basically born and raised in this town. And I know you to be a really vocal guy and to kind of stand up for the things that you believe in, even though that they're not that popular. What made you now? What are you running for? You're running for selectman, yeah?
Running for selectman, yes.
And what made you want to do that?
I think I just heard a lot of people in the groups on Facebook, like you said, and certainly from around the country, seem to have a voice for something in social media, but didn't really know where to use it. And I found myself kind of in that same basket where I was being very vocal, but I wasn't really gaining much traction. I was with some locals and some friends, but it didn't seem to be doing much of a difference. Gaining information and passing it on is all good and well, but if we don't do anything with it, then we're just going to continue down the same path.
Now, what are you starting to see in Oxford that you feel like a lot of people are upset about, or what do you think really needs to change in this town?
Well, I mean, through some of the meetings that I've been to, there seems to be some hesitancy, with the amount of people that we have at the meetings. It's just trying to get the word out and getting people there, and like you had said earlier, that, just informing people of those meetings and what they're there for, and just getting out there and getting the word out there before even what the law requires. Most places, most towns, have a set standard of how many weeks or days before the agenda for those meetings are released. And I want to be able to bridge that gap with the information and get it out to people a lot sooner, and not just abide by what's already in place.
Mm-hmm. What do you stand for? Like, what is it that motivates you?
Yeah, I think it's just a sense of community. I think we've lost, what a town is, what a township is. And, back in the day, you helped your neighbor. Nowadays you can yell at them on Facebook, but most people don't even know who their neighbors are right now.
Right.
And I think that's also the vehicle that I want to use to be able to help bridge the gap between local government and the community. Get them out there to vote on anything and everything. Like you said, there's a lot of people that are older, that have lived here for a long time and have been making those decisions for a long time. In those meetings, you don't see too many younger people, and I think a lot more younger people are involved in activism, and that's great. But there's other things that can be done, at the very local level, so you don't have to go far to participate. And right. I think we need to get more people to do it.
One of the things that I had seen at the meetings, I don't know if I already mentioned this, but one of the meetings that I had, I think it was the last one that we had gone to, there was a guy, the town had decided that they weren't going to do any motorized like boats or anything like that on this pond. Did I already talk about that on this or no?
No.
So I found it interesting because it gives the town a platform to speak on behalf of the people. And so the town decided that they weren't going to do any more motorized, I don't know if it's called a motorized vehicle or
I think boats. It was gas powered is what they were saying.
Yeah. And it was on the agenda as something to be discussed and voted on. And somebody had gone up there and said, I don't think it should be up to the town for you guys to decide. It should be up to the people that actually live on this lake or pond or whatever. And he came up to the mic and said that to everyone, like, I don't think that's okay. And then somebody else came up on the other mic and said, well, we already voted on it. I live on that pond. I don't want anything gas powered on there. And so it was moved as, well, if you guys wanted that, then we'll vote yes on it. So I thought to me, it was actually pretty cool that you could sit there and vote live on an issue
Right.
that's going to impact the community.
Right. Immediate results, immediately seeing the power of what the community has.
Right. Yeah, for sure. So here's one of the issues too that I find. I talked to, so Tracy Lavorne, she ran for a rep last year, and I had interviewed her on the podcast. And one of the commonalities that we had was that we want some term limits on just term limits in general, because it's on a federal level, because these guys have become career politicians. And it gets to a point where when you're in office and you stay there, you just I feel like you're just not operating in the best interest of your the people that you're representing. And so one of the things that I found in, I love Ben Carson. I voted for him in the primaries of like long time ago. But I read his book, and one of the things that he says was really, really good. And this is what I like about you, is that you're like of the people. You own a business if in the community, you're part of the community, you're very vocal in the community. And this is how I believe it's supposed to be. This is what he says. He says, our Constitution was founded by brave and wise men, leaders who had America's best interests at heart. They knew firsthand the pains of living under tyranny, and they sacrificed much in order to ensure that we, their descendants, would not suffer in the same way. Their hard work has paid off, as the Constitution has so far stood the test of time. We should seek to honor their legacy by upholding its principles and emulating unselfish examples. The Constitution's history also teaches us much about the types of leaders we should seek out. The founders had diverse backgrounds, but they tended to be people of accomplishment with real-world experience. Many of them demonstrated that a life filled with political experience was not a prerequisite for brilliant thinking and effective leadership. Instead of continuing to view political experience as the main criterion for a leader, we should instead examine political candidates to see if they understand America's history. We should draw leaders from all walks of life, business, the military, the church, and medicine. We should look for leaders who have open minds and are able to deal well with conflict. We should follow statesmen who value education. And most of all, we should make sure that we elect only leaders who understand the principles of the Constitution.
That's pretty fantastic right there.
So I have my husband coming in. See him in the, in the back if you're on YouTube. But I feel like that is literally what we should be voting for, is that we should be voting for people that are not. That's the definition of career politician. You don't want to vote for people that have that kind of mindset. You want to vote for people that are everyday people that have businesses, people that are from us, that say, hey, I want to be a voice for them. And I think that's the problem that we not only have on a federal level, but we also have, it could happen in our towns as well. So just wanted to point that out. And that we, the people, what's interesting is if you go to your town, so if you want to know more about your town, like where your town meetings are, so you can get more involved in the town, for us, it's oxfordmass.us, I believe. I might be wrong, but there's actually a town charter there where we have like our own constitution for our town. Which is pretty interesting. And there you can find the responsibilities and powers of the people, of the leaders in the town, and how the organization and the local government works as well. So I just want to encourage everybody to go and do that, and go to your next meeting and experience, meet people like Tim, who are very vocal, very passionate about, hey, like, where are the money? I've heard you say this before. Where's the money for the roads going? That.
Well, that's the thing. Those are the questions that need to be asked.
Right.
And, that's what I intend on doing. And I mean, I'm doing it already. It's just now having, direct information and keeping on track with it, more than I can right now. And being able to deliver that in a way back to the community so they have it in front of them when they need to, not when the law allows.
Exactly. That's perfect. That's good. That's what the people need. All right, Tim, tell the people what are the next events that are coming up?
So we've got the annual town meeting on Wednesday, May 5th at the high school at 7 p.m.
To vote for selectmen would be May 18th, correct?
Yes, May 18th from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. There's 2 separate precincts, so you'd have to check the local site.
Make sure you guys remember that when you vote on May 18th, if you're from Oxford and you're voting for Tim, that you write him in. He is not on the ballot. So you have to write in Tim Moriarty, Moriarty, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay, perfect. And yeah, is there anything else that you want to add? Where can we find you?
You can find me at T Moriarty. So it's TMORIARTY Oxford.weebly.com.
That's where you can find Tim. And Tim, he's a regular to being banned from social media. So, which many of us are. So just because you want to speak the truth, right?
That's pretty much it. Censorship is pretty much at an all-time high right now. So I'm working on 17 more days.
And come out on May 5th if you're from Oxford to meet Tim. I'm sure he'll be at the town meeting as well. Thank you, Tim, for coming on.
I will be there.
Appreciate you. Thank you for being of the people and for giving us a voice. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.